I wanted to come on here and make this quick video. Hopefully it is a quick video, because I can say that and it'll go on and it'll be a longer video. But hopefully it won't take that long to get my point across. So ever since the terminology of defunding the police came about a couple months ago after the murder of George Floyd, you've had a lot of people, mainly PC, who have come out and literally gotten scared more so than anything, because really their talking points come out of fear, because we know who is the people who they are really talking about. Notice it really isn't many black people that are scared when they hear the terminology defund the police, mainly because we've been on the receiving end of their terroristic ways for so long, and they really have not. Not saying that they haven't, but not at the rate that we have. Ours has a historical context behind it. They're just late to the party. But anyway, I wanted to come on here and really talk about what does it mean to defund the police versus what PC has been saying. So I actually went online and I looked up the definition of what defunding the police means, and it's a very simple definition. It says defund the police means reallocating or redirecting funding away from the police department to other government agencies funded by the local municipality. That's pretty much the simple definition. But when PC hears that term defund the police, they completely, like many other things, bastardized it and turned it into something completely different other than what the definition reads it as. Because when they hear defund the police, they're basically saying, oh, they're going to abolish the police department. There's going to be no more police. And see, if the media puts that out there so many times or so much, then people will start to believe it. And then that's when they get more people en masse to say, oh, so you just want them to get rid of the police? Nowhere in the definition of defunding the police said they were going to get rid of it. They just said right there what they were going to do. They said they were going to reallocate funds that they were getting unnecessarily for unnecessary things and put them in places that actually needs that funding. Most of the stuff that they want to reallocate the funds to, PC, I'm talking to you, you would need. Many of you don't have it because they keep putting it into these departments. Like why do a lot of these departments have militarized style weapons? Unless they are some heavy tactical unit, they don't need those kinds of weapons. So why would they need that? See, like I tell you, they tell on themselves every single time. It's because they know that they have these police in their back pocket. Now, another reason why they ramped up their bastardized version of this definition is because when the terminology of defunding the police came about, you had some who were in law enforcement who didn't agree with the defunding of the police that ended up starting to quit or do resignation because they could not go on and do what they wanted to do with whatever it is that they were receiving. I wouldn't be surprised if defunding the police also came with them having them under more surveillance or maybe under a more heavier watch, because they pretty much gave them so much leeway for so long to do whatever it is that they wanted to do. But even right now with the defunding of the police, they're still doing what they want to do. But see, when PC gets a hold of a definition like this or a terminology like defund the police, they take it, they run away with it, repackage the definition, and then come out with a new one. And then they pump it into the atmosphere for so long, so intensely, that people start to believe it. So I'm going to go ahead and read some more into it. It says defund does not mean abolish policing, and even some who say abolish do not necessarily mean to do away with law enforcement altogether. Rather, they want to see the rotten trees of policing chopped down and fresh roots replanted. Nearly a decade ago, Camden disbanded and abolished its police force and dissolved the local police union. This approach seems to be what Minneapolis will do in some form. Different from abolishing and starting anew, defunding police highlights fiscal responsibility, advocates for a market-driven approach to taxpayer money, and has some potential benefits that will reduce police violence and crime. And that's the part right there. Look at it. It says the potential benefits that will reduce police violence and crime. And when PC goes against that, what are they telling you? They don't want it to change. They tell on themselves every single time. That's why I tell people you have to do your own research when it comes to stuff like this. Because if you let mainstream media tell it, they'll have you believing that they want you to get rid of police. Like, think about it. Every time the terminology of defund the police comes up, what does PC usually always say? So, you don't want no one to police your areas no more? So who are you going to call when something happens to you? Black people have been calling the police for something as simple as a mental health checkup, a mental health welfare check, I should say, and still end up dead. Look at what just happened with Daniel Prude back in March that we just found out about a couple weeks ago. He had a mental breakdown episode right there in the street in the cold winter of March in New York, naked in the street. And look at what happened. He's dead. Because they don't know how to deal with black people who are having a mental psychotic episode, if you want to call it that. We've seen it happen a couple of times, but they know how to deal when it comes to PC. And we've seen that plenty of times as well. So they can miss me with that. But like I said, when they got a hold of the definition of defunding the police, that's what they did. They took the definition, the true definition, ran away with it, bastardized it, and flipped it and turned it into their own whatever because they're scared. They know that, like I said, they know that they've had the law enforcement at arm's length for so long and that they could weaponize them. And they have been doing that and have always done that. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I told you I didn't want to make this a long video. Like, you can go online and look up defund the police and it'll give you the definition and, it'll show you what it's truly trying to do. Because I think the whole George Floyd situation is definitely was what brought it up. But will it change anything? I can't call it right now. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens, and it has to be on a more bigger level than just on a local one, because everybody on a local level is, they're different than a federal level. So we'll see how it goes.